Hello, I'm Herm Gailey. We're here to talk about when you transition to a different bit with your horse. If you want to see a good introduction to that, look at my friend Tim Anderson's channel. That's Tim Anderson Ranch and Horse Training. He's got a short up that says why I change bits, or why you should change bits on your horse, suggesting that changing things up can keep your horse's mouth fresh. I completely agree with that. So check out Tim's channel as well. I sure like it. I think you will too. So what I've got here is a very standard snaffle. This is the bit I've been using on my 3-year-old Mike. He has probably only had maybe 25 rides in this bit. Usually I would keep him in a snaffle like this for maybe as long as a year. Might change the mouthpiece, but just a ring snaffle of some sort for an extended period of time. The problem is, I was not getting a feel that satisfied me at all from Mike's mouth with any snaffle I tried on him. He just sort of leaned into it, just didn't have a lot of sensitivity to it. So I'm taking the unusual step of going to the transition bit that I often use as we get a little further downstream. Typically after I was done with the snaffle bit, I would go to this bit right here. This is an extremely short shanked bit. If you notice the purchase, which is from the top of the bridle ring down to the middle of the mouthpiece, and what would be technically the shank that goes from the middle of the mouthpiece to the bottom of the rein ring, are almost the same. That means that there's almost no leverage, which makes this very mild. What kind of offsets that a bit is it does have a correction mouthpiece. Candidly, there are mouthpieces I might prefer more so in this same setup, but this is the only one I could find that had this ring arrangement as opposed to shanks. You can go to a longer shank snaffle, but this is almost like a snaffle, but not quite. You get a little bit of action under the chin, a little bit of leverage, and a different feel in the mouth. So I've used this on a number of colts, always got along with it well. The bit itself has a good sized diameter, so it makes it milder, and it's set up so that this area where the joints are is extremely rounded and soft, and the correction piece here, the port, is real good to let a horse get their tongue up inside there a bit and get some relief if they need it. So this has worked well, and I'm going to make that transition and see how it goes. Full disclosure, I had it on this horse one time before. Didn't ride him off with it, but just let him chew on it for a while and get used to it, because they will chomp on this bit. It feels different to them. They're even different to put it on, because it feels different going in their mouth, and he sort of resisted a bit where he was really nice with the snaffle. So it's a change for him. So what we're going to do is show in a few minutes how we introduce the young horse to this bit and start riding him. So we'll be right back with the horse under saddle. So we're back, and he had before I took the bit out to show you folks how it looks, he had it in his mouth for a little bit and got comfortable with it. You can see he's keeping a quiet mouth, which is always a good sign. What I'm not going to do is get on him and be real demanding with this new bit. I'm not going to try to introduce anything really that's new to him except the bit. And I'm going to expect a little less of him maybe than I would have with the snaffle bit than he was more familiar with. But what I found the one time I did get on him and ride him around just a little bit with this bit, I guess, was that he had a nicer feel. And sometimes you have to do that. It goes against the popular wisdom of leaving your horse in the snaffle for a good bit. Goes against my usual practice, but I've had horses before where, for whatever reason, a ring snaffle is not their best friend. So you change out of it. So what I like to do, first of all, I'd had him walking around the round pen carrying this, but I just want to take a feel of his mouth from the ground, see if he's soft. See, and he's about the way he is in the snaffle, or maybe even a little bit better. I did that with him on one previous occasion, and he started out pretty good. Now there he's leaning a little. I'll wait for him. He's actually thinking about flies more than his business. Oh, but I don't blame him. Give me your head. So he had a little bit of distraction there. And if you notice, he's sort of alarmed a little. That is this colt. He goes from being asleep to being wide awake. And I'm trying to get him centered up to where he's always with me, but not troubled. So I'll just take this, tip his nose this way. And I'm keeping my hand off here to the side where this is very easy for him to figure out. So what are we learning? As with the snaffle, he's a little stiffer to the right. So that tells us a little bit about what we'll need to do as time progresses to break him loose a bit. But that's really not bad. Then what I'll usually do is, after helping them, I'll come back and just put this more in the position that you would use when you're actually riding, and see, that feels different to him, and he's pushing back against it, gapping his mouth a little. He'll figure it out. There you go. There you go. So better to introduce this to him on the ground. There are fewer variables. And you've got the groundwork set. And there he's coming around a lot quicker, so he's figuring this out. Now, I would anticipate that he might be a little stiffer this way as he was. I'm going to move him for a better camera angle here. Come on, Mike. You grow roots? Come on, silly boy. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here, put my hand approximately in riding position, and let him think that through. There. Quits chewing, quits pushing, and gives. Take his head around, hold up in the same area, let him find it. So he's trying to put his head down. He's trying to chew on the bit to see if that helps him figure it out. But all he needs to do is tip his nose. There, he's going down, he's leaning on me, there he cuts loose. So that's what we're doing on the ground to introduce him to this. And then I will put a little bit of back pressure on it and see if maybe he'll step back. There. And that lets you feel his mouth just a little bit more. There. And he's happy enough to step back when he feels that pressure. I can sense that he's more sensitive to this bit. And that's all I need from him. So what we'll do shortly is get on him and ride him. That'll be the subject of another episode, but this is the bit we use, how we introduce it, and how we do a little bit of very simple groundwork to let him get the feel of that bit before we get up and use our hands from riding position. So till next time, thanks for watching.